And welcome back to Devlog. In the last part, I won a holiday cruise vacation, but through no fault of my own, accidentally boarded a pirate vessel instead, and now I'm sailing across the open seas with a band of pirates that I have joined. I'm the parrot on the crew. And in this part, I'll be going over the new level created. This new level being the Desert Desert. Oh, how I love this level. The Desert Desert has been very fun to design for multiple reasons. These reasons being candy fun, I like sand, straight line, bunny goo. The Desert Desert is a desert landscape with a bunch of candy items scattered around. It has a lot more of a whimsical design to it than the Trash Trail level, so I can pretty much just put a bunch of candy shapes anywhere and make a level about it. As mentioned in the Trash Trail video, the method I take for making the levels is by making specific little chunks of the levels, these being small sections, in a basic way, so with cube maps or just basic sprites, and then I build on these visually as I progress the level. This means I don't have to design a level completely visually and then work on how the level will work in platforming. I can design a level with basic elements, move things around, and then when I come to adding the visuals, I can just replace these base elements with the visuals that I would actually want to match with the already created hitboxes for the level. Creating the Desert Desert level has been significantly easier for me and faster than creating the Trash Trail level, which is the other level that I made. This is for multiple reasons. The first being, I'm very talented and good at what I do and incredibly sexy and just all around great at game development. And the second reason is that I had practice from the first level, so I could improve on the many flaws I took in designing the first level. The first of this is if I know where a platform is supposed to go, and I definitely am sure of this, I can just place a visual for this platform already there and I don't have to worry about adding one later. This saves a lot of time because I already know how the visual should look and I can just place one and have it pretty much make sense, and if not, I can move around this small visual in opposed to having a debug asset, so I can save some time in the future when it comes to actually visualizing the level. The second thing that actually helped in designing the level from the first level is that I have a pretty solid idea of how the character in my game moves. That may sound weird because I've been working on this game for 8 months, so I should probably know how Pep-Pel controls. But I don't. Just having a good idea of how far the character can move and jump and the number of platforms they can move between in one jump, or how far they can go in one jump, means I can really plan out levels in a way where I won't really need to move things a whole lot in testing because I already have a pretty firm idea of where to place platforms for the character to be able to move onto. The next reason is that I have a pretty good idea of what is fun for the game now. In the Trash Trail level, I made a lot of testing level ideas in a notebook, and a lot of these turned out to not be particularly fun for the player or very engaging, and I ended up designing maybe 40 level designs and using half of those in the actual Trash Trail and then remixing those when they were in the actual level. So it was a lot of time spent designing levels, but a lot of it wasn't very good. Now I have a much firmer idea, and I have so far felt like the level designs that I have made have been pretty fun. An interesting detail for the Desert Desert is that, obviously, it being a desert, it's very flat. The Trash Trail had a lot of areas that would loop in on themselves and go above other areas or backtrack in the design, so there was more verticality to the Trash Trail, and I think this made it pretty harder to actually design levels for because they would have to be slotted in between other levels, while in the Desert Desert it's just a line. It's a big desert, there's a couple hills, but it's mostly a big line, and I kind of like this. It's definitely made levels a lot easier to design for because it's just a straight line. I fear it may be slightly boring for players to play, since it's just a straight line, but there are some area designs where there is more verticality to it, or more platforming upwards, and generally speaking, there is some backtracking in the level for optional parts of it, But hopefully I feel like the straight line design of the level won't be too glaring, providing each chunk is at least entertaining or unique, despite being a straight line. But at the very least, the level being flat has made it so the chunks I have made can very easily slot next to each other. I just put the one line next to the other line and it makes a level. The level gimmick for the trash trail is bouncy, sticky, and slippery floors, and I feel like this has actually helped in a lot of the design aspects for the level. The trash trail's gimmick was ropes and rope lines, and I felt like that was somewhat harder to design a level around because you'd have to design aspects of the level where that gimmick is fun and also difficult. And I feel like ropes are pretty difficult to design hazards around. It's not particularly something that elicits a hazardous platforming experience, while the floor surface types are very easy to design hazards around. So easy, absolutely easy. You can probably think of 12 right now. The one I'm using a lot in the level is putting a bouncy surface right below a spike pit, or right below a spike roof, by putting a bouncy pink surface right below a spike roof. The player lands on it, and they go right into the spikes. Boy howdy do I love this design technique. The entire level is just this one hazard. Player hits spike on roof. It's so much fun. Also, the bouncy ball systems, very easy to design both hazards and fun platforming around. Do you bounce off the pink ball, or does the pink ball bounce you into a spike? Do you use the blue ball to transport you through a hazardous area that you wouldn't be able to walk through, or does the blue ball launch you into a spike? Does the icy surface make you go down a funny slope and go really quickly, or do you slip on the ice and go into a spike? The possibilities are just those 6 examples. Additionally, using such surfaces is by default pretty engaging for the player, I think. Aside from the blue ball launching the player to places, that's more of a passive experience. The other ones are very active and actually have a lot of feedback in the game. I think they're very fun to do. My favourite surface to play on is, oddly enough, the icy surface. I know icy levels are very unpopular in video games, and that's because you're wrong and bad. I, for one, like icy levels. I think slippery surfaces are fun. When designing and testing levels, I think playing on the icy surfaces is very fun for me. Finally, let's talk about the level design's enemies. I haven't designed any. The original plan and the plan I'm probably going to proceed with have enemies in every level being visually similar to the actual level. So the trash trail had plants, the desert should have, obviously, desert animals that are candy. I designed 2 of these already, but the issue is that they're not very designed wise in the levels. I'm not really designing levels around having enemies, so I feel like for the most part the desert enemies are probably just going to be placed after the fact to add a bit more hazard to areas, or can serve to replace some hazardous parts. The one enemy I have designed is a candy snake, which is just a candy. It pops out of a hole, it's candy, it goes and it hisses at you, and then it bites you on the big old nose, and then Pep-Pel dies. Horrifically, in fact. And she feels a lot of pain as she does. But currently in the level design, I really don't have to add these enemies yet, or even design and make them yet, because I can just plan out places where they could go, or parts of the aspects of hazards where they could be replaced by an enemy, and I can just place an enemy in that spot. What I'm trying to get at is that I haven't drawn the funny snake yet. And that is it for Devlog. I have had a lot of fun designing and playing through the desert, and I feel like it is probably going to be my 3rd favourite level overall in-game. I'm a big fan of how it looks, I've had a lot of fun designing the visuals for it, and I've had a lot of fun playing the level. Let me know what you think of the desert in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.